data into the system and start preparing it. To do that, you need to first upload the data. Here, if you click on new and click on upload files, I have this airline satisfaction survey file ready. So let's go ahead and click on that and open it. Once you do that, the system starts reading through your file and kind of analyzing it for the quality of the data. It will take a few seconds, and then this data is uploaded and you can see it in your My Content. Here is, as you can see, this is a CSV file. If you click on the toggle here, you have a bunch of options. You can start creating explorations or dashboards right away. Create a data module, which is basically a data model from this data. For example, if I want to connect it to some other tables, or if I want to reduce parts of it that I don't need, I can create a data module based on this file that we just uploaded. You can replace the file, append it, share, copy, create a shortcut, delete, or go to the properties. Now let's go ahead and click on properties to take a quick look at the properties of this file. Here you see some basic general information about it. You can add a description in case you need to share it and you want some other people to see what is this data about. So I'm going to just write our first data file. Congrats on doing it. Then there are some advanced features here. I'm not gonna go on them. Click on permissions, and you see if you need to share this or give access to some of the users in the system in your company, you can give some permission. Okay, well, we're not gonna do that, so I'm gonna go back here and click on the toggles here to go back to that menu. Now let's go ahead and create a data module, because at this point I want to understand what is this database about. So if you create on data module, now if you look at these three icons here, you can add different sources. So if you click on this, you can add different sources and tables to this. At this point I'm not gonna do that. You can identify navigation path members. I'm going to talk about navigation path, and you can check the validation. So it's already validated. If you click on that, you will see that there is no validation issues. Now the system will check if there is any mismatch in your data or if anything is wrong. It will let you know, and then you can go ahead and remove those issues. Right now, this data set doesn't have any validation issues. So close this. Now go ahead and click on satisfaction. Once you click on satisfaction, here on the right side, you can see all of your columns and the data. So you see a sample of your data. So what you need to do as a data analyst, like I said, you have to understand the structure and the content of your data. Now, this is not a relational database. It's just a flat file. To know that, just click on this relationship here. So click on this. If you click on that, you will see that there is no relationships and there's no cardinality. It's a flat file. Let's go back to grid. We have satisfaction. So you have to go ahead and read all of the columns, all of the variables, and understand really what's going on. You can see it's satisfaction of customers in different airlines based on their age, their gender, as you can see, price sensitivity of the respondents. So it's a survey of customers, airline customers, and here you also have the list of all the variables. So their price sensitivity, year of the flight, number of flights, and for example, other variables such as shopping amount, eating and drinking at the airport, day and month, and city of origin, or state of origin, destination city, destination state, and if there is any delays they had experienced. So we have a large data set of customers of a different airline. Now, if you click on these toggle on each of these columns, you can see what are the options. You can filter. I'm not going to use the filter. You can create calculations. For example, if you want to calculate a new variable based on satisfaction, you can do that. For example, I want to add 1 point to satisfaction. I can do that here. You can create data group. For example, let's create a data group of satisfaction. If I want to create a data group, say I want to separate between highly satisfied, unsatisfied, and medium satisfaction customers, okay? What I'm going to do is that I am going to call this new variable satisfaction categories, and I'm going to create 3 groups. I want to have 3 groups. Satisfaction below 2, so 2 and 1, less than 2 would be unsatisfied. Okay, so these are customers that are unsatisfied. Between 2 and 4 is medium satisfaction, and 4 and above are going to be highly satisfied. Okay, this will help me later. For example, if I want to know how many highly satisfied customers do I have and what are the characteristics of the highly satisfied customers, this grouping will help me to be able to answer those kind of questions. If you notice, what I'm trying to do right now is to prepare my data for my future questions that I'm trying to ask and answer. So I can also tell what to do with null variables and then create this variable. Now, once you click on that, it will take a few minutes, or sorry, a few seconds. And as you can see here, a new variable is added. And based on how much satisfied they were, I classified them. For example, here, these two, they were satisfied. Their satisfaction rate was 4 and it's classified as highly satisfied. This person is 3 and he has or she has like medium satisfaction. So now I just created a new data group. Okay, if you click on this, you have a bunch of other options. For example, you can remove a variable if you don't need it in your data. You can remove them. You can format. For example, if the format of your data is not what you want, you can change it. If you click on format data, you can see that this is unformatted because we just imported from an Excel file, and in the Excel file it was probably not formatted properly. So we can change it to number and then press OK. You can go ahead and do this to all of the variables. The other options that I have is rename, clean. You can clean the data. Clean is when you want to replace some values. For example, you have some outliers and you want to replace them with null, or you have some null values and you want to replace them with something else. I'm not going to use it now. Let's just cancel this and move on. Then you have rename, cut and copy, and properties, which I'm not gonna go on them. Now, one of the features that are important to know and understand is navigation path. Okay. What is a navigation path? A navigation path is when you want to drill down or up from one variable to another one. Here, I have a really good example of a hierarchy. Look at these two variables, origin city and origin state. You know that each state has multiple cities inside them. So this is kind of a categorical variable because you have a state and then you have a bunch of cities inside. So what can I do to this is to select one, and then I can press Ctrl and click on city, and then click on the toggle. Doesn't matter on which one, you can click on this and click on create navigation path. So I selected the two variables, and as you can see here, I have a navigation path. It's like a hierarchy from origin state to origin city. Okay, and I can rename this and call it origin state / city. Once you do that, press OK. Now, the system knows that there is a relationship between origin state and origin city, and there is a hierarchical relationship between these two. We can go ahead and do this with our destination state. So click on destination state and destination city. Again, the two of them are selected. Click on the toggle, create navigation path. You gotta make sure that destination state is above destination city. If the order wasn't correct, you can always just change them. But here the order was correct, so I'm gonna return them back. Destination state, destination city. Let's change the name to simplify it, make it more intuitive. Destination state / city, and press OK. So we created a navigation path, okay? Now, if you look at these variables, for example, day of month, if I think about the type of questions I want to ask later, do I really need to know day of month in my analysis? If I think I don't need it, I can just go ahead, click on the toggle, and either remove or hide this variable from users, because then later when I want to analyze and use my data, it would be easier the less variable I have, because it would be less cluttered and the analysis would be easier. Another thing I would like to mention is this row ID variable. If you click on that, you realize that the system assigns a number to each row. This is a very important variable that I would like to keep in my data set, and I want to see it as an analyst. So click on this toggle and show this to users. So now I have this shown to users. So later, if I want to count some variables, and you will see some examples of this later, I can use this row ID variable, okay? If you click on property of that, you can see that it's mainly useful for counting, and it's an identifier, okay? It's very important in our databases to have an identifier, at least one, because then you can identify each row uniquely, right? I know that this one, I'm not gonna lose this in my database at all. Row ID number 1 assigns to this customer. Now close this. If I go on the navigation path I just made, so if you click on origin state, for example, and click and go to properties, you can see that there is a navigation path I just assigned, right? So this navigation path is what I just assigned to origin state and city. Now, I think at this point we have understood our data. Again, this is a flat file of customer satisfaction survey. There is no relationship. I made a data group of satisfaction. I added the row ID, and I also created some navigation path. I also validated my data, and I did not add any new data source to this. Now, if you understand this, the next step is to go ahead and analyze the data. But before doing that, I'm going to show you how to create a data module of relational database. So at this point, good job catching up with this course, and let's continue. And finally, let's save our file so that we don't lose it. So the new data module is here. Let me save it. To save that, you have a couple of options here. You can save it or save it as. I'm just going to save it. To save, you have two options. You can save it in the team content or in my content. Since I don't want to share it anywhere, I am going to save it as my first data module, airline customer survey, and just save it in my content. There you go. Now we can close this and continue. To close that, just click on this and you will see